Howdy, y'all. Caleb here. And I know what you're probably thinking right now. There's lots of new armies being previewed, there's cool new models. Stand strong. We don't need any of that because we've got Finecast. That's right. Um, we're going to talk today about one of our Finecast models that we have, and that is the Chameleon Skinks. They've lost a little bit in AOS 3.0, but they've also gained some stuff, and I think they are useful in some ways that we may not be thinking about yet in Age of Sigmar 3, and that's battle tactics. So we'll get to that here in a minute, but first let's look at that Warscroll for these Chameleon Skinks. Yes, they are Finecast, but they still have a use here. And as we look at this Warscroll, remember that there's a lot of save stacking in this game in Age of Sigmar 3.0. And so anytime we have access to mortals, that's going to be valuable on its own. And Chameleon Skinks do have an ability to put out some mortals. So a quick rundown of their Warscroll. They do have an 8-inch move. You're probably never going to be using that. You're going to be deep striking these guys. They have 1 wound each, 6 up save, so a terrible save, 5 bravery, also terrible bravery. They come in units of 5 models. And so you're not talking about many wounds here. You're talking about 5 wounds on a 6 up save. So very, very fragile. But what they do have is they do have the dart pipe, which is a 16-inch range, 2 attacks on a missile weapon, hitting on 3s, winning on 4s, no Ren 1 damage. But if you look down at the abilities under Star Venom, which is what we see over there on the right-hand side here, Star Venom, an unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a dart pipe is 6. That attack inflicts 1 mortal wound. So we are getting some mortal wound output from these guys. 10 attacks total on a unit of 5, and you're looking for those 6s to get the mortals. Now, it's not going to do a lot of damage, to be honest. That's only 10 shots. You might get maybe 2 mortals through if you're lucky. But they do have some cool stuff here. The Chameleon Ambush. Instead of setting this unit up on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that's hiding as a reserve unit. If you do so at the end of any of your movement phases, you can set up this unit on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy units. So you're going to be deploying this unit off the table, and you're going to be looking to strike this in sometime in the game. Now, you do have to do it before the 4th battle round, but this is going to have some good strategic uses. If this unit's on the battlefield, you can also remove it at the end of your movement phase and set it up at the end of your next movement phase again. So it does have to wait a turn, but you can basically pull them off the board and put them back out somewhere else. The FAQ, or the errata, did change their perfect mimicry ability. It used to give you pluses to your save. Now, if this model is within 1 inch of a terrain feature, it has a ward of 4 up, which is kind of nice. It makes them a little bit tougher. You're talking 5 wounds, and you have a 4 up ward save. So, I mean, you'll be able to survive a little bit. Not a whole lot, but that is much better than what it used to be, which was just a plus to the save. I like having this better because now you can shrug off a few mortals if you get lucky. So, makes them a little bit tougher. Melee weapons, we're not even going to look at. It's absolutely terrible. If these guys are in melee, they're dead. So, in AOS 2, you used to be able to really buff up these units because you could take them in a big unit of 20 and you could be throwing out a ton of dice. Now we can't do that because these aren't in battle lines. So the max you could bring is 10. And so that would get you 20 shots, and you're looking for 6s, so you can get some more mortals there. But I think how you're going to be running these chameleons is in MSU, the minimum strength unit. So you're going to be running them in units of 5, and I think it has a lot more utility there. Let's look real quick at the damage, just so we can have a good laugh here. Their average damage for 5 Chameleon Skinks, that's 115 points, is almost 3 damage versus a 4-up save. And you know how safe stacking is in the game now, so no rend. This is unlikely to do much damage. You are fishing for those 1 or 2 mortals from these things, and that's about all you're going to get. A lot of things have ward saves, and so these become even less effective there. But mortals are nice. We do have ability to plink off some mortals, so don't discount it. Make sure you do shoot them if you're bringing them down. If we were to take 10, that's 230 points, and you get a little bit more. I mean, you're literally getting double. Well, it's not math isn't hard here. So we're almost getting 6 damage through on a 4-up save. Again, it's okay. It's good to take out, little support heroes if they don't have a ward save. And so you can do that if you're taking a units of 10. But the Chameleon Skinks really aren't there for their damage. And we see that with the damage tables. They're not there for the damage, but we have some things that they are good for. And the first thing that they're good for is delayed deployment. And so I'll take these sometimes on my list just so that I don't have to put anything down on the first drop. As you're sitting there trying to judge where your opponent is going to be placing his models, if you have a couple units of Chameleon Skinks, you can not put anything on the table. I'm putting one of these Chameleon Skinks in the sky or in reserve or wherever it's called. Now let's see what you're going to put down. And so even if you have, this might be somewhat of a joke list. Although, is it? I've got four. I've got 4 monsters in this list. I like this. So obviously, no. This is no. That's right. We've got enough battle lines. Sorry, I forgot what I list build here on my own. This is a Thunder Lizards list. But we've got 4 units of Chameleon Skinks. So that means I'm going to have 4 drops where I'm off the table, and I'm making you show me your hand before I put down all my Stegodons, my Bastillodon, putting down my castle. Putting down my shots that I'm going to be putting out. I can range my things out, and a lot of people are going to be done dropping by the time you're done with these Chameleon Skinks. So it does help in that delayed deployment, kind of tips your opponent's hand and lets you see what they're going to do. What else are they good for? They're good for holding your opponent back on their objective. So even 1 unit of Chameleon Skinks can do that. If they know that you can drop down behind them, they're going to end up staying back on their objectives more often. So if they're deployed here, they're not going to want to push forward too hard and leave their objective undefended because they know that you can come back in behind them. So it ends up pinning them back a little bit because they know that you can deep strike. If you've ever played against armies that can deep strike, you know that is a concern, and it makes you play differently. So even just 1 unit of 5 Chameleon Skinks will end up making your opponent play a little different, knowing that there is a deep strike that can come in at any moment. Another thing that they're good for is grabbing objectives. A lot of times you'll see an opponent pull forward a unit to kind of block up a choke point or just to advance a little bit further to that front edge of an objective. And when they do that, that leaves you a perfect opportunity to drop these 5 Chameleon Skinks down. I've scored a couple objectives this way. They get a little bit too aggressive. They know they have to push forward, but they don't want to leave that objective, and you drop down stuff, steal it anyway, because they've left you enough room. So grabbing objectives is great, whether they're edging that objective or whether they've left it completely. Another thing that they're good for, which is what the main point of this video is battle tactics. So these Chameleon Skinks are great at scoring you different battle tactics. And that's where a lot of your points are coming from nowadays is battle tactics. About half are coming battle tactics, about half are coming objectives. And so you really got to balance that when you're looking at your list. What battle tactics am I taking? And a couple of them, the Chameleon Skinks are really good at. Savage Spearhead, Aggressive Expansion, and Conquest, I think, are perfect for these Chameleon Skinks. If we look at Savage Spearhead, this one you complete this battle objective if there are 2 or more units from your starting army wholly within your opponent's territory at the end of this turn. If 2 or more of these units are monsters, score 1 additional victory point. So they won't help you with the extra victory point for being a monster, but this is super easy to get with Chameleon Skinks. In fact, it's literally guaranteed to be able to achieve this battle tactic with Chameleon Skinks. Generally, people are not going to screen off their entire deployment zone the entire game. And so at some point, if you just have 2 units of Chameleon Skinks, you have a guaranteed battle tactic. And so as you're looking at your list, maybe you're taking aggressive expansion turn 1. You're grabbing some objectives. Maybe turn 2, you're doing monstrous takeover. So where you're contesting something with a monster. And now you're looking turn 3. Okay, I need something. I'm not guaranteed to kill a battle line maybe, or I'm not guaranteed to take back one of their objectives. This is when you can have one in your pocket that's guaranteed. Savage Spearhead is guaranteed with these Chameleon Skinks because you're talking 5 models on 25 millimeter bases. These things are tiny. You can fit these in the corner of anywhere if you need to. The great thing if you're playing like a Fangs of Sotek or Dracothian's Tail, a Starborn list, you really only need 1 unit of Chameleon Skinks to guarantee this. You'll teleport something you don't need, some trash, or teleport something that's awesome like salamanders into their zone to shoot some stuff, and then deploy your 1 unit of Chameleon Skinks, and now you've guaranteed yourself a battle tactic. So part of what's really good about competitive gaming is that you need to have those guarantees. You need to have those things that you know that I can get this for sure, and it's not up to the dice. It's not up to my opponent. This is something I can always get. So Savage Spearhead is perfect for the Chameleon Skinks. Conquer isn't bad, taking control of an objective somebody else has. If you can sneak an objective, kind of like that last picture I showed you, Conquer is a great one to take with Chameleon Skinks in a turn that you see that they've left you something open. You can even do it with aggressive expansion if you want to. If you want to push some Chameleon Skinks turn 1 and just drop them down because you don't want to commit the rest of your stuff, okay, you're going to take a couple shots. You're going to lose a couple 100-point units here. I mean, that's kind of what this game is about, trading back and forth. And so if you're going to chafe those up with these guys, keep them back in their territory, get aggressive expansion with them. If you took 4, get Savage Spearhead later too. So I think there's some great stuff that you can do with the Chameleon Skinks, strategic wise. Not a lot of damage is going to come out of them, but it is going to be a good tactic. I have here harass the enemy, control the board, win the game. That's what Chameleon Skinks are good at. They're not going to do a ton of damage, but they are going to be that annoyance, that nuisance to your opponent, and that they don't really know where they're coming down, and they have to prepare for them coming down on any side of the board at any point in the game, by turn 4, of course. So Chameleon Skinks, I think they're best in AOS 3 at getting those battle tactics, scoring objectives, putting pressure on the opponent, make them make the mistake, and then you capitalize that on with the Chameleon Skinks. Not doing a ton of damage this turn, but that's not what they're there for. Get those guaranteed battle tactics with those beautiful fine cast Chameleon Skinks. All right, let me know how y'all are using Chameleon Skinks. Did I miss something? Is a unit of 10? Is there some secret sauce? Are you pumping all your buffs into Chameleon Skinks? Because I just don't see it working that well nowadays, now that we can't run 20 of them. So, all right, guys, let me know what y'all are doing. Oh, I forgot to mention, you know what? Chameleon Skinks are great. If you don't want to buy the actual kit, they're a little derpy looking. They're not our best models. They're super easy to kit bash. We have a lot of blowpipes anyway. All you got to do is make them from probably the extra skinks that you have laying around. So if you have some great kit bashes for Chameleon Skinks, let me know. I think I've got 25 Chameleon Skinks already, but I always need to kit bash some more, right? All right, guys. Catch y'all later.